The old oak tree stood at the edge of the playground, its presence both commanding and unsettling. It had been there for as long as anyone could remember, a silent guardian of the schoolyard. Twisted branches like skeletal fingers reached towards the sky, creating a web of shadows that danced eerily in the wind. The tree seemed almost alive, as if it were reaching out to the heavens with a story to tell. Its leaves were always dark, even on the sunniest days, casting a perpetual gloom over the ground beneath it. The sunlight seemed to shy away from the tree, leaving it in a constant state of twilight. Children whispered about the tree, calling it the scary tree. They spun tales of ghosts and spirits that lived within its bark. Stories passed down from one generation of students to the next. Billy had seen the tree every day on his walk home from school. It was a fixture in his life, a landmark that marked the halfway point between school and home. He always crossed the street to avoid it, taking the long way around just to steer clear of its ominous shadow. The tree's reputation was enough to make him wary. He had heard the whispers too, the hushed voices of his classmates sharing stories of strange noises and ghostly apparitions. The tales had a way of sticking with him, making his imagination run wild. His heart pounded a little faster whenever he saw it, a mix of fear and curiosity bubbling up inside him. What if the stories were true? What if the tree really was haunted? One afternoon, Billy's friends dared him to touch the tree. It was a challenge he couldn't easily refuse, not without risking his reputation among his peers. "Go on, Billy," they taunted. "Scared?" Billy's face flushed with a mix of embarrassment and determination. He didn't want to be known as a coward. He didn't want to look scared. But the thought of even going near the tree sent shivers down his spine. With each step he took, the tree seemed to loom larger, its twisted branches like arms ready to snatch him up. But Billy knew he had to face his fear, if only to prove to himself that he could. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves of the oak tree. The sound was almost musical, a symphony of nature that played in the background of the quiet night. It sounded like whispers, soft and menacing, as if the trees were sharing secrets with the wind. The whispers seemed to carry a warning, a cautionary tale from the forest itself. Billy took a hesitant step towards the tree. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the ground itself was trying to hold him back. His heart pounded in his chest, echoing the rhythm of his cautious footsteps. He reached out a trembling hand. His fingers brushed against the rough bark, feeling every groove and crevice. The texture was familiar yet foreign, like an old friend turned stranger. It was cold like ice. The chill seemed to seep into his bones, sending shivers down his spine. He pulled his hand back instinctively, but the cold lingered. Suddenly the wind seemed to howl, a mournful cry that echoed through the trees. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. Billy pulled his hand back with a gasp, his breath visible in the cold night air. He could have sworn he felt something move beneath his fingers. Something alive, something that pulsed with a life of its own. It was as if the tree had a heartbeat, a slow, steady thrum that matched his own. He turned to run, but his friends were gone. The forest seemed to close in around him, the trees standing like silent sentinels. He was all alone with the scary tree. The whispers continued, a haunting melody that filled the night. Billy knew he had to get away, but his feet felt rooted to the spot, as if the tree had claimed him as its own. Billy felt a chill. The air was crisp, and the cold seemed to seep into his bones. He wrapped his arms around himself, trying to ward off the shivers that ran down his spine. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the playground. The once familiar place now seemed alien and foreboding, each shadow stretching out like a dark hand reaching for him. The scary tree looked even more menacing in the fading light. Its twisted branches seemed to claw at the sky, and the gnarled trunk appeared to be hiding secrets that were better left undiscovered. He had to get out of there. His heart pounded in his chest, and his legs felt like they were made of lead. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to escape the eerie presence of the tree. But then he heard it again, a soft scratching sound coming from inside the tree. It was faint, almost like a whisper, but it was enough to stop him in his tracks. Curiosity, stronger than his fear, drew him closer. He took a tentative step forward, then another, his eyes fixed on the dark hollow in the tree. He peered into the darkness. The hollow seemed to beckon him, its depths promising secrets and mysteries. There in the hollow of the tree was a small wooden box. It looked ancient, as if it had been there for centuries, waiting for someone to find it. It was ornately carved with strange symbols. The intricate designs seemed to dance in the dim light, telling stories of old. Billy reached in and pulled it out. His fingers brushed against the rough wood, and he felt a strange warmth emanating from the box. It was surprisingly light. He had to see what was inside. With trembling hands, he slowly opened the lid, his heart racing with anticipation and fear.